Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon, and welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 53. And this week, we have 7 topics of NFL news. We actually have some good ones to get to, and we have one highlight to get to. It's about a retirement, so we'll get to that. This week, we also have 3 quick hits, which I should easily beat the timer for the 4th straight week in a row. Then we have signings and cuts, a good amount of signings and cuts, nothing crazy. Then I'm not revealing my complete mock draft, but I'm revealing my mock draft from picks 1 through 24 or potentially 25. Then we have one quiz and one question of the week. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. Alright everyone, we're going to jump right into this one. So, as always, we are going to start off with the main topic, and this week's main topic is about the New Orleans Saints, and you might know what I'm already going to talk about, but Derek Carr's 2025 season is in question with a shoulder injury. This is something that actually popped up last Saturday, and I unfortunately did not get into that topic at all. But, Carr is weighing different options, including surgery, so, I don't think it's official of what he's gonna do with the injury yet. I don't know if he'll have surgery, or no one really knows what's gonna happen yet. There really hasn't been a lot of info about it since the injury was actually announced. And he suffered a hand injury and a concussion, which ended his season last year in Week 14 in a win over the Giants. But obviously I don't believe that relates to the shoulder injury. I don't think a hand injury would relate to that unless you land on your hand just right where, your shoulder's up here and something happens to your shoulder. Potentially the concussion could be related as well, since it's right up here and the shoulders are right underneath your head. So I don't know if any of these are related to that. I don't remember a time when he injured his shoulder this year. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe my memory's just not that great. But the 5 games that Carr won last season were the only games the Saints won all year. So, it just kind of tells you that Derek Carr can win some games, and he can lose some better. He can win more games than, obviously, Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener, who went a combined 0-7 to end the year, which was incredible. So, the Saints, obviously, they need Derek Carr if they want to win more than 5 games, obviously. I feel like I always talk about this when I bring up the Saints, about how they started off, 2-0, 2 or 3-0. They started off really, really good, and then all of a sudden they just fell off entirely. You beat the Cowboys in week 2 or something. I forget when they beat the Cowboys, but when they beat the Cowboys, even though the Cowboys weren't good anyway, we expected them to be good. At least I did, and they got smoked by the Saints by 20 plus, and it was a blowout. And that was obviously with Derek Carr. Yeah, without him, didn't win a single game the rest of the year. So obviously getting him back will be huge, because he did sign a 4-year, $150 million deal in 2023, and many suggested the Saints would trade or cut Derek Carr this offseason until New Orleans converted a lot of his salary into a signing bonus. So it's highly unlikely now. I'd say he's around for another year or two. I think that's where people are settling right now, where how long he can remain a Saint. I would say if he leaves New Orleans after this year, or maybe after next year, or after 2026, I would say maybe potentially a team with a bridge that needs a bridge quarterback. I don't think he'll play much longer. Maybe I'm wrong, but the Saints roster isn't amazing by any means, so that's one, I guess you could say, what's the word? I guess not having a solid roster is a good way of making an excuse that you aren't playing your best ball. But, no matter what, good roster or not, you had to play good. Sure, he had 5 wins. I'm not blaming all the losses that he had on not on him. But yeah, one question though that everyone is asking is since the news about Carr's health came out, Odds are that Shador Sanders or Jackson Dart could be drafted by the Saints. Odds are they're very high. That's what I've been hearing, and that's what I've seen. So we will see. Maybe we will see Shador Sanders or Jackson Dart replace Derek Carr. The only way we'd see Shador Sanders is if the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Jets don't take him. I would say if the Giants pass on him, I would say he's going to number 9. I also wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders took him either. So, yeah, once they get past the Raiders, I would say that the odds are that the Saints will probably get him are pretty high. But if Shador does go to the top, into the top 8, I would say Jackson Dart is a very, very likely option because Jackson Dart has so many traits like Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts that new head coach or rookie head coach is what a lot of people say. Kellen Moore is used to coaching. So we'll see what happens with the draft, and we'll see what happens with Derek Carr's season. Definitely in question, and would not be shocked if the Saints took a quarterback in the draft. But we are going to go on to the next topic. Patrick Peterson is joining the Cardinals to retire from football with the team that drafted him. So, yes, we have another retirement, and I'm pretty sure we have 3 retirements this week to get to. We have 3 retirements to get to. So, this is only one of 3. But, yeah, Patrick Peterson, a really, really good career. He was the number 3 pick in the 2011 draft out of LSU. He spent 10 seasons in Arizona, so a decade in Arizona, and had some memorable plays of his career there. One I will bring up, when someone retires, obviously like a skill position player, not like an offensive lineman, which we will get to in a bit, I'll have like a highlight of a play that I remember watching. But this one actually, since this is going to be one a little bit different. This was too old for my time, this video that I brought up. Too old as in I was alive, but I wasn't a football fan. But this is the one that caught my eye. Patrick Peterson's 99-yard punt return touchdown in overtime with 13 and a half minutes left to go. It's 13-13, 4th and 7. The Rams are punting from their own 45. I'm going to play it right here. Look at this.
Donnie Jones to punt. Patrick Peterson back at his own 10-yard line.
This is like, I was looking at I was reading through an article about Patrick Peterson's retirement, and then this is the play that popped up. So it's all the way at the 1 to 2 yard line. It looks like it's at the 2, but they said 99 yards. And look at him go. Spin move at the 50. He's gone. What a way to win it. That's just incredible. Yeah, like I said, I actually I had never watched this play in person or on TV or anything. This is just a highlight I saw earlier this week and thought, yeah, I got to include this. But man, what a play. You just can't fake that. Like, you can't script that. I mean, incredible. But yeah, I'm not going to play the whole thing since it's pretty long, but yeah, really, really impressive play. I mean, Peterson earned 8 straight Pro Bowls to begin his career and earned 3 first-team All-Pro nods, so there's no doubt of how good of a corner he was. I mean, he also played wide receiver on some snaps and even was used as a punt returner like we just saw in the video. But yeah, he was used for many different things. His main position was corner, and he was used as a receiver. Not often, obviously. His main position was corner, obviously. They used him as a receiver when he was a lot younger. Steelers never used him because, yeah, I mean, he played for the Cardinals, Vikings, and Steelers in his 13-year career. Never really played receiver for the Vikings or the Steelers only because he was a lot older. But yeah, he recorded 36 career interceptions, which is a pretty good milestone there, 35 plus. And yeah, I honestly would not be shocked if he wears the gold jacket at some point. I really wouldn't. We're going to go on to the third topic, a little bit of a somber note here. The NFL draft prospect wide receiver Kyren Lacy dies at 24. This is another really, really good potential, high potential player that we lost before they even played an NFL snap. And honestly, I remember this last year. And The one last year about Kyrie Jackson really that one really stung. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the one about Kyrie Jackson just really stuck with me, and I was just like, wow. Because I remember I would do mock drafts, and I would, there would be some cornerback options, and then I would see Kyrie Jackson, and I don't know, but whenever I would see a picture of him or see I don't know, he just screamed potential to me, and that's what I see when I see Kyren Lacy. He just screams potential. I don't know why or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think he would have been a very good wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, the unfortunate part about it is he was involved with an argument with a family member where he just discharged a weapon into the ground. And when police arrived at the building, Lacy had already left the scene, but police were able to track his vehicle. So, once again, this is another thing. It's not Kyrie. It's Kyrie's fault, or not Kyrie's. It's Kyren Lacy's fault. Just doing something pretty stupid. But I mean, his car eventually crashed, but cops later noticed when they approached the vehicle that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and crashed his car, that's just wild. You just can't do that. And honestly, I do feel it is his fault, and there's some of me that doesn't feel bad for him and some that does. Not saying that I'm happy he died or deserved to die. Nobody deserves that. It's just you can't. I don't know what he was doing with the gunshot thing. I don't know if that's. I'm assuming it's official. I mean, it's not that hard to fake. So, I don't know. I don't really have the whole story in this. So, I'm just looking at an article from NFL.com. He was also arrested in January after he was charged with a felony hit and run and reckless driving, a crash that killed a 78-year-old man and injured 2 others. So this is nothing new to him. I mean, he's done something like this before. Obviously, it didn't result in his own death, but it obviously resulted in another's. But yeah, I mean, at LSU, Lacy was the Tigers' leading receiver with 162 catches for 2,360 yards and 26 touchdowns in 2024. It's just really disappointing to see that happen for the second straight year that I can remember at the very least. But yeah, that's 2 prospects back-to-back years that for me screamed potential to be an NFL star. So really disappointing there. But we're going to go on to the 4th topic, I believe. The Bears agree to terms with Kyler Gordon on a 3-year, $40 million extension. The Bears are signing a whole bunch of their defensive stars. They also signed, what was his name? We'll get to the TJ Edwards one in a little bit. But Gordon becomes the league's highest paid slot corner in NFL history. His deal includes $31.75 million guaranteed and will average $13.3 million in annual earnings. Really, really good deal. I mean, the Bears' defense, I feel like, is becoming one of the better defenses in the league, one of the better and younger defenses in the league, and I think they have a really, really high ceiling to be a top 5 defense. Maybe they are, but I would say they're very, very close. I wouldn't say they're quite there just yet, but they're definitely close. I mean, the 25-year-old has missed 11 games in his 3-year career. So he's missed a lot for as long as he's played in the NFL. So that's one thing that he needs to work on is his health. But really, the games he missed, it's not like he missed so many every single year. He missed at most maybe 4 games in a season. So it's nothing crazy, but just something. Just need to work on his health a bit, but outside of that, he's an outstanding corner. If you ever watched him play, go watch him play. He's really fun to watch. He generated 48 solo tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 5 pass deflections in 2024. So yeah, I mean, he's had a really good young career so far, and he's locked up in Chicago for another 3 years up until, trying to do my math in the head, through 2028. So he's going to be in a Bears uniform for a while, unless something bad happens. I'm not trying to be not optimistic, but I would say there's plenty of reason to be optimistic about him, or with him staying in a Bears uniform for 3 years. We're going to go into the next one. The Dolphins and Jalen Ramsey mutually agree to seek a trade. So this is something this is another topic we got to talk about that could very well affect the draft as well. Ramsey is still under contract with the Dolphins through 2028 after he signed a 3-year, $72.3 million extension last year. So it's not like this is the same Jalen Ramsey we saw of a Pro Bowl. It's not anywhere close, but he's still producing at a decent level. And yeah, I mean, if Miami does trade him, they'd free up roughly $8.5 million in cap space before June 1st. So that's one thing that's one thing to take into accountability. But I would also not be surprised at whatsoever if we saw a trade in the draft that would send Jalen Ramsey to another cornerback needy team. I would not be shocked by that. Maybe trade Jalen Ramsey and potentially the 13th pick for someone else's pick if they want to trade down. If I'm a team in the NFL right now going into this draft, I'm not trading up for anything unless it's like a blue chip prospect. But I mean, yeah, Ramsey tallied 39 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, missing his first Pro Bowl. This is a fun fact. Missing his first Pro Bowl since his rookie year in 2016. That is a good long streak. I mean, that's almost a decade-long streak. Is that really accurate? That's insane. That's crazy. But yeah, some teams that could trade for him are the Bengals, Lions, and Falcons. Obviously, if the Dolphins were to trade down to the Lions pick at, pick 20, is it 29? It's 29 or 28. I think it's 28 or 27. It's one of the two. But yeah, wouldn't be shocked if they traded down with the Lions. And the Falcons would make sense. They're trading down to pick 15. And then the Bengals would also make sense trading down to pick 17. But yeah, speaking of the draft, if they were to trade with the Bengals, trying to process this, the Bengals would get the 13th pick. And with my mock draft, I'm going to think about how my mock draft is going right now. The Bengals, they'd probably get, trying to think of the edge rushers, they'd probably get Mike Green out of Marshall. If that were the case, if they were to trade, if the Dolphins were to trade down with trade with the Bengals, if they were to trade with the Lions, I don't even know. I haven't even got that far yet. If they were to trade with the Falcons would probably get like a Mike Green. Cardinals would get Michael Williams, Kenneth Grant, Kelvin Banks. If they were to get Kelvin Banks, the Dolphins would surely have to get like Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson for sure. But yeah, would not be shocked if we saw a trade in the draft at all, to be honest with you. We're going to the second to last. Offensive tackle Tyron Smith signs a one-day deal with the Cowboys. Yes, you heard that right. To retire after 14 seasons in the NFL. But yeah, Smith spent 13 out of 14 seasons with the Cowboys and 1 with the Jets just this past season. So yes, it is a one-day deal just to go back to Dallas and retire as a Dallas Cowboy, which is honestly, if you spent I don't know how many. I can't fraction that yet. If you spent your entire NFL career but 1 year in one uniform, you gotta retire with that team. I mean, come on, you have to retire with that team. I feel like, but I mean, he allowed just 39 sacks in his career, which is a crazy number. I mean, only 39 sacks in 14 years. That's ridiculous. I mean, he earned 8 Pro Bowls and 2 first-team All-Pros as well. So there's no doubt. I feel like he'll also be wearing a gold jacket. Even Jerry Jones came out and said that he's going to be in Canton at some point in his career. Unfortunately for Smith, he didn't play a full season since 2015 due to injuries, which not a full season since 2015 is crazy. So it makes sense that he would retire right now since he has not been able to stay healthy. But yeah, great career. I always thought he always looked, I've never really seen pictures or videos of him, but I always imagined he was younger. I don't know why. I just always imagined that he was a younger guy, but I was obviously wrong. I said that last week, and now here we are a week later. He's retired. But we're going to go into the last topic. The Saints offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk retires after 8 seasons. 8 seasons. I cannot speak. But yes, we have our third retirement this week, and it's about Ryan Ramczyk. We talked about Teron Armstead retiring last week, or whenever we talked about that. But Ryan Ramczyk was teammates with Teron Armstead with the Saints, and they had one of the best tackle duos in the league, and that was definitely fun to watch. The two dominated the trenches for 5 seasons. But I mean, he played his last game in December of 2023 with knee injuries ending his seasons and his career, obviously. But the 30-year-old was the 32nd pick in the draft by the New Orleans Saints and spent his entire career as a Saint. So yeah, like I just said with the Tyron Smith thing, if you spent most of your career with one team, you have to retire as that team's player. But yeah, really, really outstanding career. Yeah, that's a lot of retirements this week. This is the time of year where we start seeing retirements. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of who might be next. Oh man, I can't really think of it at the top of my head. Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I just remembered. Aaron Rodgers might be the next guy to do it if he doesn't go to the Steelers. But yeah, a lot of retirements. And yeah, what a career by Ryan Ramczyk. Anyway, we're going to go into quick hits. 3 topics of quick hits this week, so nothing crazy. Should be able to ace right through this without even having to worry about the timer. But yeah, we are going to pull the timer up. Once again, it's a 2-minute timer for those of you who might be new. But here we go. We're going to start right now. Titans corner L'Jarius Sneed being sued over shooting in December. Sneed is being sued for at least $1 million over a shooting on December 6th in Carrollton, Texas at a car dealership. The man suing Sneed claims either Sneed or his assistant attempted shooting at him. There is video footage of the incident, and attorney Levi McCatherine reached out to the Titans about it but has not received a response. Bears signed linebacker TJ Edwards to a 2-year, $20 million extension. The deal includes $16.6 million fully guaranteed. Edwards, who signed a 3-year deal in 2023, was set to make $5.4 million in base salary. Chicago also signed Kyler Gordon this week to a 3-year contract. So, yeah, the Bears have been signing a lot of guys this week, too, I guess. But Edwards racked up 129 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 3 pass deflections. Last one, corner Tre'Davious White reunites with the Bills on a 1-year deal worth up to $6.8 million. White spent one season away from Buffalo, joining the Rams, and eventually being traded to the Ravens. In 2024, White generated 22 tackles and 5 pass deflections. Finished with about 50 seconds left. Honestly, that was a light work. I'm going to see if we have any more topics before we move on. There was something about Isaiah Bond that popped up. What was it? Trying to look for it here. There's something about Isaiah Bond. NFL draft wide receiver Isaiah Bond sues accuser after assault claims. So I guess I don't really have a lot of info on that one. I just needed that one popped up at some point. But yeah, we're gonna go into signings, and then after that we have. We're not gonna include this as a segment, but we have one kind of reaction to get to that I wanted to play. But here we go. Browns signed defensive end Julian Okwara. Packers signed tight end John Fitzpatrick. Steelers signed guard Max Sharping. Bengals signed quarterback Logan Woodside. Cowboys signed offensive lineman Hakeem Adeniji. Titans signed offensive lineman Brendan James. Offensive lineman Sam Mustipher. And offensive lineman Oil Udo. 49ers signed tight end Jake Tongs. And offensive lineman Austin Pleasance. Sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. Giants cut defensive tackle Ross Blacklock. That's a cool last name. Titans cut wide receiver Stanley Morgan. Guard Logan Bruss. Defensive tackle McTelvin Agim. Sorry for pronouncing your name wrong. Defensive tackle Isaiah Eiton. Linebacker Curtis Bolton. Defensive back Gervarius Owens. Offensive lineman Nicholas Pete. Freyre. I don't know if I got that right. If I did, that's incredible. Bills cut tight end Armani Rogers and defensive tackle Brandon Dean. Before we get to the mock draft, I'm going to pull up this reaction. It's not going to be a segment or anything. It's just something that I saw, which was incredible to me. But I'm going to play this. This is from CBS Sports with an interview with Travis Hunter. We're going to play it right here.
If you had to choose between playing only one position in the NFL or never playing football again, what would you choose?
Just never playing football again.
That's how passionate you are about playing both positions. Why is that?
This I've been doing it my whole life. Yeah, I love being on the football field, and I feel like I can dominate on each side of the ball. So I really enjoy doing it.
Isn't that just kind of wild? He would rather retire from football than play one position in the NFL. I thought that was crazy. Like, man, whoever drafts this guy, you better be careful. He's gonna threaten. I'm telling you, he's gonna threaten. I mean, the Giants and the Browns are big favorites right now to draft Travis Hunter. Patriots are potentially up there as well, but man, he's threatening right now. It's kind of crazy though that he's saying this. I thought it was pretty wild that he said that. But we are gonna get into the mock draft picks 1 through 24, potentially 125. I haven't decided about the Texans pick yet. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna pull it up right here. I haven't been doing this kind of stuff for playoffs or anything in a long time, so sorry if a few mess ups happen. We're gonna put this. All right, here we go. I think we should go over here. All right, this is perfect right here. All right, we're in the mock draft simulator. PFF's mock draft simulator. This is NFL.com's. I think they share the same thing. But yeah, here it is. NFL mock draft 1.0 from me. I haven't completed it yet. Hopefully I can complete it next week. I'm really hoping I get this done in time. It's going to be a buzzer beater. But obviously, pulling up the quarterback position, there's no doubt. There's not really much explanation for this pick, but the Titans are going with Cam Ward without a doubt. I mean, there's no way they don't go Cam Ward. I mean, unless I'm crazy, but who knows? I could be wrong. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. But yeah, Titans go with Cam Ward, number 1. The Browns go with Travis Hunter. I could see Abdul Carter, pairing him up with Myles Garrett, but I just feel like Travis Hunter is more of I would say they need him more than they need a great tandem between Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter. Could see both go. I could see it going either way, but I feel like Travis Hunter fits the Browns and fills 2 more needs that the Browns have. The Giants, they'll go with BPA. Instead of taking a quarterback, they would go with Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State. It's not necessarily a need for the Giants, but we saw what the Eagles did. If you can dominate the trenches, you can win games. I mean, this is already a team that has Brian Burns and has Kayvon Thibodeau, but if you add a guy like Abdul Carter to that mix, that's terrifying. So I feel like the Giants have to go with that pick there. Pretty, like, a really, really commonly mocked guy to the Patriots is none other than Will Campbell, the tackle out of LSU. Protect your franchise guy. Will Campbell is 100% a Mike Vrabel guy. He screams Mike Vrabel. He's so tough. I mean, there's a video of him benching like 600 pounds. I don't know. No, maybe that might be a little bit too much. There's like a video of him benching a big load. So he's definitely a Campbell guy, and you got to protect your franchise, especially on the blind side. The Jaguars go with another commonly mocked player in Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. I would not be shocked. I've seen guys like Tyler Warren be mocked to the Jaguars, but I mean, you got to build the trenches. What did the Eagles prove this year? Dominating the trenches gives you championships. Defense wins championships. They have Trayvon Walker, who's pretty mid. Josh Hines Allen is also there as well. If you got a guy like Mason Graham to be that third guy, that defensive line is going to be terrifying, especially if Trayvon Walker can start showing up and acting like a number 1 pick in the draft. The Raiders, another commonly mocked guy. No, it's not Shedeur Sanders, but I can definitely see that happening. It's Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. This is another guy that also screams their head coach, and he screams he screams Pete Carroll. I mean, if you look at it, I've seen comparisons, a smaller Marshawn Lynch, which is the exact running back that Pete Carroll coached in Seattle. I can see this going either way, whether it's a corner, a receiver, a quarterback, or Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. Running back is a big need. Yes, this class is very deep, but get a guy that he's used to coaching. Another guy that's also commonly mocked, no, I'm not just picking the favorites in this mock draft, but I'm going with Armand Membu, the tackle out of Missouri to the New York Jets. I've had this pick for about a month or 2, and now everyone's starting to say, oh, maybe it's not Tyler Warren, it's Armand Membu. So I've had Armand Membu to the Jets for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So I'm not going with the consensus picks, I'm going with my mock draft. And trust me, there are a few shockers in this mock draft, so prepare yourselves. The Panthers are going to go with linebacker Jalen Walker. This is another pick I've had for a while. He can help on the edge, off-ball linebacker. He can pretty much be your Brian Burns, the next Brian Burns. He's not going to be like Brian Burns, but he can be used like Brian Burns. I feel like Jalen Walker's a good fit. He's a North Carolina native, so that makes this pick even more intriguing. Then the Saints, they take advantage of Shedeur Sanders' fall, and they go with Shedeur Sanders. Also, would not be shocked if they were to go with a guy like Jackson Dart as well, since he kind of fits what Kellen Moore has coached, but they will go with the best quarterback available in Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. He's pretty much played in black and gold his entire career, and I can definitely see Shedeur Sanders being a New Orleans Saint. To the Bears, I've seen Tyler Warren a lot recently, but I would say, honestly, I could change this at some point, but Tyler Warren is definitely a guy that Ben Johnson would love to utilize. But I'm going to go with Shamar Stewart for the moment right now. I've had Shamar Stewart for a while. It might change at some point, but I'm sticking with Shamar Stewart. He is the size that defensive coordinator Dennis Allen wants, and that's the guy who he's going to get. I feel like Shamar Stewart is going to be a bust, but because he's so highly rated and has really good traits, he's going to go top 15, if not top 10. Pick 11, the 49ers, they need offensive line. They need defensive line. They need the trenches. You have guys, if we go into offensive tackle, you have Kelvin Banks. You have all these top tackle prospects. If you go to the interior of the defensive line, you have Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, all these first-round talent guys. But believe it or not, I have them going with best player available. They're going with the corner from Michigan, Will Johnson. Some of you guys might be like, whoa. And honestly, I would not be shocked if they took Kelvin Banks here at all. I mean, I had him originally, but I also saw an article about John Lynch his comments and saying that their offensive line is pretty solid right now. So I'm just going off of John Lynch's comments, and I'm saying, okay, he might think the offensive line is pretty solidified. The defensive tackle class, the interior defensive line class is stacked. Let's wait till the second round. Let's get our Charvarius Ward replacement and build up the secondary, and then go through the trenches later in the draft. The Cowboys are going with a receiver to help CeeDee Lamb. They're going with Tedero McMillan. I've seen a lot of Matthew Golden, respectively, but I think go with the best receiver available and the best player available, the receiver out of Arizona. The Dolphins will also go with a corner instead of taking an offensive tackle. Look what Jahdae Barron. All right, I can see this happening. I can see either him or Banks. I might make it a 2.0 and have Banks go to the Dolphins. But, I mean, you're possibly trading Jalen Ramsey. You have Patrick Paul from last year's draft who learned from Teron Armstead. Let's say that they trust Patrick Paul in year one, build in the secondary, replace Jalen Ramsey. Barron can play multiple positions in the secondary. So I feel like Jahdae Barron is the right pick for the Dolphins. And then, obviously, probably the most commonly mocked player is Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I didn't have to do any research on this one. I just knew that if Tyler Warren is on the board for the Colts, they need him. I mean, their tight end need is huge. So, I mean, Tyler Warren fits the bill with the Colts. Falcons, they need an edge rusher. All right, both the corners are off the board. I mean, you've needed an edge rusher they hadn't had a 10+ sack edge rusher since Vic Beasley. This is where you get that guy. And yes, the Falcons are a team that typically avoids players with character concerns like Mike Green, but they have shown tons of interest in Mike Green. Wouldn't be shocked if they went with a guy like Donovan Ezaraku as well, the edge rusher out of Boston College, who has really risen his stock. But yeah, the Falcons will go with Mike Green from Marshall. They finally get their edge rusher of the future. Hopefully he turns out well and doesn't have any character concern or issues in Atlanta. Also wouldn't be shocked if they went with Michael Williams. So speaking of Michael Williams, a good segue to go to Michael Williams to the Cardinals. I have Michael Williams going to the Arizona Cardinals at pick 16, the edge rusher out of Georgia. I mean, they don't necessarily need defensive line. They have Kelvin Banks there, which also would not be shocked if they went with Kelvin Banks there as well. You have Walter Nolan, you have Kenneth Grant, you have Derek Harmon up there. Calais Campbell is probably in his last season, so you could get his replacement. But this defensive tackle class is incredibly deep. Take advantage of it. Get a guy like Michael Williams, who can definitely learn from guys like Calais Campbell or last year's pick and Darius Robinson. They have some guys there that he can learn from, and they don't necessarily need an impact pass rusher right now. Get him to just learn a year or two, and let's see what he can do. The Bengals, I want him to draft James Pierce Jr. By the way, I forgot to mention, this is a mock draft of what I think will happen, not what I want to happen as if I was the GM. This is what I think will happen. I want them to go with James Pierce. James Pierce Jr. is the guy I want for the Bengals. I think he's going to be a stud. Fun fact, in 2020, Joe Burrow, when he was drafted, I wanted Joe Burrow. We got him. In 2021, I wanted Penei Sewell. We got Jamar Chase. I'm happy with Jamar Chase. I wanted Penei Sewell, though, but I don't care. I would rather have Jamar Chase. In 22, 22, I believe it was, who was it? I wanted Tyler Linderbaum, and unfortunately, he didn't fall to the Bengals. We didn't get Tyler Linderbaum. I think we got Dax Hill. No, we didn't get Dax Hill. We got somebody, but I wanted Tyler Linderbaum. We didn't get him, and now he's an all-pro center for the Ravens. 23, I wanted Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, we got Dax Hill instead, and Jahmyr Gibbs has been a stud. And then 24, I wanted Jared Verse. He's a stud now. We got Amarius Mims, and I think he's still going to be an outstanding right tackle. But yeah, if they would have went with what I would have said, we would have had Joe Burrow, Penei Sewell, even though I'd rather have Jamar Chase, though, since I know what he's capable of. Joe Burrow, Penei Sewell, Tyler Linderbaum, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jared Verse. I mean, crazy. But yeah, we are going to go with the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan. I feel like he's going to go to the Bengals. They also have some younger defensive tackles as well. McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins are there. But we also have a bunch of older guys like TJ Slayton and BJ Hill. And yeah, I feel like the Bengals trust Joseph Osai way more than they should. But I would not be shocked if they went with an edge rusher like Donovan Ezeraku or James Pierce Jr. I really want them to go with James Pierce. Don't think it's going to happen. The Seahawks, they're going with offensive line. It's much needed. Kelvin Banks can play tackle or guard, whatever you want him to. He can pretty much do it all. We're going to go way over time. We're going to go through these next picks quickly. The Buccaneers go with Jihad Campbell as Levante David's eventual replacement. I can definitely see this 1,000%. This is where the draft gets crazy. This is where the shocker comes in. The Broncos need a running back, and they're going to get one in the first round. All right, I've thought long and hard about Omarion Hampton and Travion Henderson and Matthew Golden. I've really thought hard about Matthew Golden as well, but their top options are Matthew Golden, Omarion Hampton, and Travion Henderson. Surprise, surprise, it is not Omarion Hampton. It is Travion Henderson to the Denver Broncos. Why? He fits what Sean Payton wants. I mean, he can be that joker. He's a good receiving back. He's a good running back. I guess rushing. Good at running, I guess. You get the point. He fits what he wants. I don't know what it is about him, but I just have a gut feeling that Travion Henderson, maybe it's not the first round. I don't think they'll get him in the second round. He won't last that long. I just have a feeling that Travion Henderson is going to be a Denver Bronco. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Steelers, they're going to go with their biggest need as well. Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon, potentially replacing Cam Hayward and replacing currently Larry Ogunjobi. I've seen a lot of comparisons between Derek Harmon and Cam Hayward as well. Chargers, they can go with either tight end Colston Loveland or the defensive tackle Kenneth Grant. Either way, both are from Michigan. One of the two is going to be drafted. Kenneth Grant. I mean, what did Jim Harbaugh say? He's a gift from the football gods. And they need a defensive tackle too. I can see tight end, but I was like, you know what? They've had a lot of other visits with like Mason Taylor. They've had visits had a visit with Elijah Arroyo. They've had a lot of visits with a bunch of other tight ends. I would not be shocked if he took one of them, but I feel like Kenneth Grant would be the better pick. The Packers, they're going to draft a receiver for the first time since 2002. I don't remember when it was, but they're going to go with Emeka Egbuka. Why? You could go with Matthew Golden. Why is Matthew Golden still on the board? Honestly, I don't know. He might fall out of the first round for my mock draft. Might be like, well, Matthew Golden, for one, catches the ball. which is something the Packers didn't do a lot last year. I mean, and then when he's not a great blocker, and Matt LaFleur likes receivers who can block like Emeka Egbuka. Now, the one con about this pick is that Emeka Egbuka has been a receiver 2 his entire career in Ohio State, and maybe he's probably going to be another receiver 2 in his NFL career. So you basically have Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dotavion Wicks, and Emeka Egbuka. All 4 of them are receiver 2s. I feel like Emeka Egbuka can really excel in the receiver 1 role, and I feel like Emeka Egbuka is the perfect fit for the Packers. The Vikings are going to go with the safety. It's not Malachi Starks, but Nick Eamon-Warry. I've seen him mocked to the Vikings many times, and he's fit. He really fits with the Vikings. I mean, they lost Cam Bynum in the offseason. Harrison Smith is in one of his last seasons. He might retire after this year. So they're getting his replacement, a guy like Eamon-Warry, who I think is arguably better than Malachi Starks. But yeah, I think it's Nick Eamon-Warry. That is all for my mock draft. Right now, I'll give you a little sneak peek. I have the Texans taking an offensive lineman, either Josh Simmons, Gray Zabel, Josh Connerly Jr., Tyler Booker, or Donovan Jackson. So all these guys that are highlighted right here, these are the guys that I might have the Texans select. Either Josh Simmons, Gray Zabel, Josh Connerly Jr., Tyler Booker, or Donovan Jackson. I think it's going to be either Josh Simmons, Gray Zabel, or Tyler Booker. Still not 100% on that yet. But yeah, that is my current mock draft. We're going to go way over time in this episode. But yes, let me know what you guys think of the mock draft. I'm going to have to move this camera over because it's going to be way off. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, well, let me know what you think of the mock draft. Honestly, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but we'll see by draft day. So, we're going to continue on with this week's episode. We just have the quiz and the question of the week. So, the quiz was, which NFL teams have had the most top 10 draft picks of all time? Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, Arizona Cardinals, or the Los Angeles Rams? I'm going to restart this. I'm going to see. I think I did it again. I did it again, guys. How many in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks in a row. A month in a row that I've tricked you guys. I've gotten you guys to pick the wrong answer. Los Angeles Rams 5%, Chicago Bears 20%, Arizona Cardinals 35%, and Detroit Lions 40%. I can see why you guys picked the Lions, but man, I did it by 5%. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure we had 3 or 4 voters that actually picked the right one the last few days, so I was getting nervous that I was gonna get another one wrong again. But yeah, another dub for me. Let's keep this thing rolling. We're going to go into the question of the week. Will Travis Hunter play both ways in the NFL? This is kind of something. It was a last-minute question of the week because I had the Micah Parsons one up earlier. Yes or no? 21% no. 79% yes. That's wild. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. Honestly, I would say he's going to primarily play corner and then have some snaps at receiver. Depends on which team he goes to. If he goes to the Browns, like I had in my mock draft, they said they'd use him at receiver. Okay, so they'd use Travis Hunter as a wide receiver primarily, and then corner every now and then. I would say is probably what he'll do. He'll focus on one position, or at least an NFL team will force him to do that, and then he can every now and then line up at another position. So honestly, I agree with both. I would say he's going to play both at some point. I don't think it'll be like it was in college, but I can see why most of you said yes. But yeah, that is this week's episode. Another long one, the first long one since episode 50. But yeah, I highly suggest you guys check out last week's episode 52, where Julio Jones announced his retirement after 13 seasons. That one's a must-watch. That one's a lot shorter, so that one will be a much easier episode for you to finish. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Possibly next week. You should see me next week unless something pops up. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.